I had one that was 5 years, but I found out afterwards that it wasn't necessarily that they didn't want to buy our solution. They actually wanted to buy our solution much sooner,
Mm,
but they had an internal procurement rule where
okay.
they can only do business with companies who have been in business 5+ years.
Mm, yeah.
So as soon as we hit that 5 year mark, all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we're ready to do business." And I was like, "What?" So of course when we were done, I was like, "Why didn't you choose us back here?" And he says,
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh, I mean, you weren't at that 5 year mark." And it completely blew at the time, it completely blew my mind. I hadn't even thought of that.
Mm,
But like they want to do business because and as salespeople, we kind of get a feeling for when somebody wants our product or service, right? And it always baffled me as to why they just hadn't signed,
mm,
because they've given multiple buying clues, multiple, uh, uh, you know, thoughts and concepts that they were going to buy the solution. Even when we would speak, they would say, when we're using Benekiva, we expect it to do this, this, and this. And, okay, so that's a buying comment, but yet you still haven't bought. And so when I went back to the individual, because now we've been working on this for 5 years, right? And literally it was over bourbon, and we're at the bar sipping on our bourbon, and I just asked him, why didn't you do business with me earlier?
yeah.
And he says, you had to hit that 5 year mark for you to get through our vendor procurement process.
Yeah.
And immediately I text the entire team. I text the entire sales team, said, hey, any of these you have long sales cycles, go back and ask what their procurement process is.
Mm,
Because if you have a procurement process, that you're not meeting the needs and you just don't know that,
yeah.
that would be good information to know. For example, now that we've been in the business for longer than 5 years, we shouldn't be running into that anymore. But what if an insurance carrier has a certain security that you
Mm,
have to have, right? You have to have your stock audits, right? And maybe the salesperson hasn't told them that we have those things. Well,
mm,
if you get their procurement process and you see that, hey, you got to be, you have to be SOC on. That's a great piece for the salesperson to go back and say, hey, I saw on your procurement process you have this. By the way, Ben and Kiva, we have those. I'm
yeah.
happy to send it over to you, right? So learning, what their procurement process is and what their buying process is incredibly important.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.